Welcome to the People of Rochester podcast. Here we share the stories of people who work hard every day to help create an environment of hospitality, hope, healing, creativity, and excitement that the city has thrived on. Welcome to episode number 8. And today we have Christina. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Look at that. You just crushed that intro.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
It was all right. I got big shoes to fill here.
you've been on the bench for so long, we just don't know what to say. It's
I
like
know.
getting back into the swing of things.
But-
Well, we're glad to be here on a Monday. Cheers to a Monday.
Cheers.
Cheers
to
Monday morning.
We made it. So how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. I tend to be all over the place in the weekends, and I make sure to have weekends where I'm actually just here in Rochester, not much going on and chilling. So appreciate those.
And you live right here in Rochester, right?
I do. Mm-hmm.
So where are you kind of south side, north side? Are you downtown? Or?
I'm in the north side. I've kind of been all over in my 5 years here. I'm in the north side right now, though. It's a little more calm up there.
So 5 years you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, how did you get to Rochester?
Good question. So I'm originally from the cities, Lake Elmo, Stillwater area, aka birthplace of Minnesota, Stillwater. It's beautiful. So I graduated high school and I was like, okay, time to go to college. And I felt like I was supposed to go for counseling psychology, pretty specific. There was kind of few schools that had that versus just psychology. So I just Googled it like anybody would. And there was just a couple schools around, and one of them was Crossroads College in Rochester, Minnesota. I never heard of Rochester, actually. And when I was telling everybody about it, they're like, oh, Mayo, where Mayo is? I'm like, Mayo? I didn't know what Mayo was until I graduated high school.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So went there, got my 4-year degree in counseling psychology and biblical theology, and halfway through, I was like, what am I doing? Because I started realizing I love holistic health, and counseling was a part of that, and it wasn't the only thing I wanted to do, I found out. So I was really torn. I'm like, okay, I'll finish the degree, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to stay here because I really loved the cities, but Rochester was slowly growing on me and the community here. So after that, somebody recommended hey, you're into this holistic health thing. Why don't you check out Brennan Family Chiropractic? And I'm like, what do I have to lose? I can just go home if it doesn't work out. So I ended up loving it, and I've been here 5 years post-college.
So how many years total then?
About 9.
Nice.
Wow.
You're a Rochester native now.
Oh my goodness, that makes
Official.
me feel so old.
So the additional schooling for what you're doing now. So you went to school for 5 years.
Well, 4.
4 years, and then it was an additional 5.
Actually, no. I started right out of the gate at Brennan, so they're chiropractic, nutrition, holistic care center, and they've grown so much since I've been there. So I've learned so much about nutrition, chiropractic. I'd never been adjusted before working at a chiropractic clinic.
Right.
Changed my life, and I've gotten to see lots of amazing things happen there with people's health. But so about, when was it? Couple of years in, I was like, okay, this is great, but what am I doing? Why did I go for counseling psychology? And then that's when the doctors, Brennan, actually started looking for an emotional kind of therapy that would fit with the clinic, because we were seeing, people gaining amazing health, but a lot of people were also being just stuck because of the stresses in life going on or their past and things. We saw there was such a physical connection. I was like, oh, maybe this is something I should look into. So I ended up getting into Splankna therapy, which is out of Colorado. So I went there for training through and got the certification and all that, and that took about couple years, but it was just kind of on the side kind of thing.
It's interconnected, isn't it? It's interconnected.
Yes.
The entire health of. I've heard about Brennan, and I've not ever went there, but I've heard really good things about, just like you said, the holistic lifestyle. So I'm interested in learning more about that.
So what would be a typical day for you?
So right now I wear a lot of different hats. I'm running like social media there and patient advocate, so like on the nutrition side. Sometimes I'll answer phones. I'm not the front desk person, so I'm not that good with that. But then also I'll have like my own patients for the therapy sessions. So I love that, kind of running all over the place, hands in a bunch of different pots.
So if I were to come in as one of your patients, what's something that I can maybe expect? Is it a quiet environment and very soothing, or kind of walk me through that process?
Yeah. Definitely depending on the day, patients will definitely say like, oh, it's a lot more crazier to like at this time, depending on how many practitioners, but no matter what, like it's always like a calm environment. Like we'll oftentimes have patients come in way early just so they can sit. We got music going, most of the time essential oils, so like people love that. And you'll be greeted with like a wonderful smile and good conversation if you're up for it.
So do they do like certain sessions, like 30-minute session, 90-minute sessions? Do they kind of do breakdowns like that, or is it kind of you come in for an hour and then you schedule your next one?
So kind of, are you talking about like the Splankno or like a different? Okay, yes. So those start at like an hour, 15 minutes, just because it's initial. Because technically the therapy takes like 30 minutes. Follow-ups are 45 minutes, but the first one I really want to get time to get to know people. Some people love to talk and other people don't.
Right. And you said they're based out of Colorado? So how did you get them here in Rochester, Minnesota?
Right. Actually, it was really interesting. There was like a couple of people over the years that had mentioned it to the doctors, Brennan, about Splankna. Like nobody had really heard about it, and it sounded like there is somebody who got trained in it. It was supposed to come to Rochester, but they ended up getting in a car accident and never like stuck. And like, oh my goodness. So people were telling the doctors about like Splankna needs to be in Rochester, Minnesota. And so like if you go on the Splankna website, like there was nobody listed in Minnesota, even though there's probably practitioners, like a couple that got trained in Minnesota, but those that were actually listed, went through the trainings, like I'm listed, there was like nobody. Now there's like one other one now that's listed along with me in Walker, Minnesota, but that's like pretty far away.
Right. That's pretty up north. Walker.
I don't even know where it's at.
Walker, Minnesota. It's I think over by the Bemidji area.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Up that way.
So how do you spell Splankna? Splanka.
Splanka.
All right, I'll have to Google that and try to figure out what this. Like I think of Splanka and I'm like, okay, I understand chiropractic, but I don't know that I understand Splanka. That sounds a little intimidating.
It's such a crazy word, guys. We also call it AKA faith-based brain wellness.
Okay.
So we have QNRT, quantum neural reset therapy, and then Splankna. So I do the more faith-based one. So there's prayer, there's different things like that. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I just gotta say God does some amazing things. But with that, Splankna, so it's a Greek word, actually, which means your bowels, your gut, but it also translates to your subconscious. So that's what we're really working with, because like that was one of the biggest reasons I didn't go into traditional counseling, because it feels like you're just on a hamster wheel going over the same things, and sometimes you see change, sometimes you don't. And I know like talking and processing is huge, and that's a part of what I do too. But I really consider it like active therapy. Like we're moving through things and seeing amazing progress in a short amount of time, because we're getting to the root of things, which isn't obvious. So you really get to tap into those subconscious roots that consciously we're not willing to go because it's either too painful or we're just totally not aware of it.
That's so interesting. Now, are they planning on expanding as far like Splanka, right? Yeah. So are they planning on expanding throughout, Minnesota just in general, or is this kind of just going to be, Rochester's going to be that kind of main attraction, so that'll like maybe drive people into like Rochester?
That's a good question. Right now, I don't know anybody else who's doing Splankna anywhere nearby. But I know, like, I don't want to be the only person, because we have too many people that need help, that need to be serviced. So I know this is going to end up exploding more and more as word gets out. I really hope that more people get this kind of training.
There's a lot of positives in that.
Yeah.
Drive people into Rochester.
Do you find yourself that you go and do this on a daily basis at work? Do you find yourself just being more healthy overall, prior to knowing about this? Or I think of people that go to the gym and work at a gym, and then they're like, I just want to get out of this gym. Like, I worked here all day. I'm not going to go work out now.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Yeah, you would think you'd get burned out in the healthcare field for sure. And the cool thing is, the doctors running, they were also trained as well enough where like we can work on each other.
Oh, nice.
So we're all getting all the different services, making sure we're all healthy. But the cool thing is we all love each other too. Like, we're literally family. Our patients become family. We're really tight knit. Of course, like just like family, like you go through the ups and downs together. So there's been a lot of bonding, a lot of growth, and we all watch out for each other. So I'm happy to say, like, I love being there. You need your time away, and we do that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So you've been there for 5 years? 5 years?
Yes.
That's exciting. So do you know where they're at?
I don't. Where are you guys located?
We're over by the Costco area on Superior Drive, Northwest.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of by all the banks. If you found a bank,
Yeah.
then you're close by.
Right.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think they changed it to Banker Row. It's no longer West Circle Drive.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Oh.
Banker
Banker
Row.
Road.
Yeah.
There we go.
Perfect.
And then there's Brennan, of course. That's it.
Yeah.
That's over by the Dunkin' Donuts over there, right? Mm-hmm. Do you get Dunkin' Donuts ever?
Not the donuts, no.
No.
And now the New Jersey Mikes. I saw they were open now.
Oh,
I did just see that. I used to always see commercials for them, but I never saw one anywhere near me. Fun
So-
facts.
Let's backtrack a little bit. So you came from Stillwater.
Mm-hmm.
So Rochester to you, kind of compared to Stillwater, do you feel Rochester's bigger, smaller? What's your kind of vibe about coming from Stillwater, which is in the cities, to Rochester, which is also, a big city to some? So how does that?
Right. Yeah, growing right outside the cities and then coming here, I feel like, okay, so you just like drive and then you're in this valley, and I feel like you're kind of, it's going to sound bad. Rochester's growing on me, but it feels like you're kind of stuck in the valley and you have to really travel at least 45 minutes to get out. Sometimes you just want to get away to a different, town. Where in the cities, like 10 minutes, you're everywhere, a bunch of different cities. So the variety, but then again, like, this is a huge city just all in itself. So I find myself complaining about certain drives, like one end to the other, and I'm like, really, Christina? Like, it's not that far away.
I feel like Rochester's just, we're in our own little world out here.
Yeah.
We're in our own little pod. It's kind of nice. But do you feel like a lot of people you talk to them about Rochester, they're like, oh, Mayo Clinic. Did you ever get that vibe, or did you see it in a different perspective?
Ooh, I got that vibe right away. Well, just talking to everybody or people who grew up there, and before I got here, and I was like, oh, it's just Mayo. Is it going to be boring? Like those college towns where there's nothing to do. But then I found like, oh, there's a lot more, and like you just have to get out there, and there's lots of unique little places. And what really cracked me up was the geese all over the place.
I like to go for a run. We had this conversation on one of the last ones. I went for a run this morning, and the geese were down in the river, creek, whatever you want to call it. And they were just like having a ball, because I was thinking, as I saw them, I was thinking, this weather is like perfect for them. They're like, finally, it's here. They were just going nuts out there in the water.
Did you scream at them?
No, I didn't.
No.
I just let them be. They were having a good time. I didn't want to bother them.
They're going to be leaving us soon, probably.
Yeah, probably. They'll be heading south, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about if you had to say your top 3 places in Rochester, and they could be a business, they could be a park, they could be a person's house. I don't know. What's your top 3? What's your top 3 if you had to choose?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not going to say my word because that's cliche. But
And I'm looking for a raise. My work.
right. Silver Lake is definitely one of my faves, despite the geese and all the goose poop. Like it's a nice like walk all the way around. Like it's nice even in the winter. Let's see, Rochester, Quarry Hill like is probably like the also, and I'm like an outside person, so anywhere I can get for like walking trails, things like that, switch it up, and the difference is. What else? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't get a whole lot, especially during these times. Let's see.
Do you have like a favorite restaurant that you find yourself going to?
Trying to think. I do a lot of cooking at home, so now I'm trying to think like where did I go quite a bit. Actually really enjoyed Foragers. They had a lot of great quality food and options and things like that. So I really enjoy that place.
Do you find yourself staying in just a lot with what's going on in the world and COVID and all of that?
Well, not like more like I get like outdoors and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't find myself going to restaurants as much, like with other people, like here and there. I'm not trying to avoid the world, but yeah.
You're being safe.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good time to be safe.
So you've been here for 5 years. You love your job. Do you see yourself here in the next 5 years?
Oh, that is a great question. If you asked me a couple years ago, I would have said, no way. Absolutely no way. But now with like literally all the community found here, like I can't say like Rochester, the city itself, isn't the draw. But yeah, definitely the community here, like my work, my church, like all the different people I've met, like I can't see myself leaving anytime soon. So there would have to be like a literal reason out of nowhere.
Do you find yourself going back to Stillwater?
Oh, I do for sure. My family's there. Some of my good friends moved up there. But also now I've got quite a few friends up in Duluth area now, so I'm going up there quite a bit more as well.
So your heart's in different places.
Yes.
It's tough. It's tough.
It is.
I'm sure this time of the year, that part of the country is just beautiful, that part of the state. I feel like our trees are still pretty green. We just haven't seen that switch yet, but I'm sure if you go up there. Have you been there lately?
Oh, yes. I was there the other weekend.
Just awesome.
Beautiful.
Oh,
I know. I'm sure over by like Whitewater, I'm sure those views are.
Oh, I love Whitewater, too.
Really
I would have put
pretty
that in
up
my
there.
top, but that was technically not Rochester. But if it was, I would count that.
it feels like Rochester. You're not too far. You just
No.
skip and jump away.
Yeah.
Have you went up the fire tower?
Actually, I don't think I have yet.
That's the workout I've been told about if you want to get your steps in.
I've never been there, but I've heard it's brutal. But the end result, I mean, it's just beautiful views. So
I wonder how many steps it is. It's probably online. I have to look that up.
I think it's too many to count.
Nice. I'll have to add that to itinerary.
Another good view in Rochester is if you come down 9.
What one's 9?
If you're heading to like Sea Caps, have you been
Oh,
to
yeah,
Sea
yeah,
Caps?
yeah.
Gotta
That
make
is
sure
a
you-
great view.
Make sure you get out to Sea Caps for some pumpkins and apples. But yeah, when you're coming coming back into Rochester, I mean, you just see especially at night with everything lit up. So
Oh,
if you're into views and good views, that's a good night drive.
totally. That's one place I used to live. I used to live right in the neighborhood across from Sea Caps.
Oh yeah,
Like
beautiful.
Sunnydale or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Great place.
I was a friend of mine lives over in that area, and they've added a lot of new houses, and it's just unique in the sense that you have Sunnydale, which is the older homes, and then next door you got all these new houses
Right.
going up. So it's a mixture of the new and the older homes.
Right.
Good vibe.
It
Close to
was.
town.
It was a great neighborhood. That was I'm in a house right now just with one roommate, but otherwise there was 5 of us for my 4 years or 3.5, and now it's just been 2. So, but we are in one of the nice houses. They are really affordable over there if you're living with multiple people.
that's awesome. So what do you do, when you're not working and not going to school?
Definitely either hanging with the fam, finding somewhere to hike all year round. Like I need to get out, and me and one of my coworker friends, we always say there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yep. So right now, and you don't have to bundle up too much, just trying to find different places.
If you have to buy your hiking gear, where are you going?
Oh, well, I'm not that far deep in, guys. Just regular tennis shoes and.
So like
Other for me.
Shields or
Ooh, Shields? Okay, I'm not very well versed in all that kind of gear, but I do love Shields because it's just a fun place to walk around. Like, you can't go wrong. There's always something interesting in there.
I recently bought a pair from Terra Loco. They're locally owned. And like when I went in, they had the treadmill, and then they have you run on a treadmill and look at your form, and then they record it on an iPad. I was like, these are going to be the best shoes I've ever bought. Like, someone actually cares about the shoes that I'm buying.
Did you buy them?
I did.
How are they doing?
They're doing great.
Good?
Yeah, they're holding up so far.
That's good.
Usually I get the Costco specials for like $30, and then, you know, I go through them in about a month, and then I'm like, oh, no problem. I can get another Costco special.
That's kind of how I am with like Asics. You know, you buy a good pair of Asics shoes, it's supposed to last you for years till you get a new pair, and the ones I have on I've had for like 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're still comfortable.
Yeah.
So can't go wrong.
What do you think about the winters here versus Stillwater?
It's not too different. I remember when I like first moved here, I was like, it's weirdly colder here in the beginning of the fall than it was up in the cities. Now that I've been here so long, I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, but I was like, it is kind of different. Like, I thought we were in the South, but it's kind of different sometimes with the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think plowing is different? And it's an interesting question.
It is, yeah.
Do you think the plowing here in Rochester is different than it is in the cities? It's kind of an odd question, but I'm just curious.
We talk about it.
Yeah.
I know several of my friends that, and I'm born and raised in Rochester, so it's like, I don't know, it's the same everywhere, isn't it? But it's not.
I would think it's pretty similar, but I'm wondering if the cities is just better. I'm curious what other people say.
The conversations I have with friends were like, our snow removal is really good.
Yeah.
That's how we feel.
Well, I was, living in a small town, Delano, just west of the cities. It was, you couldn't get out of your neighborhood till like 2 p.m., because, they take care of the big businesses first. They kind of hit those small towns. But here, it's like you wake up at 7 a.m. and your apartment complex is already plowed out and roads are clear. And I think it's interesting seeing them come through with the big tractors and, but I think Rochester does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think they've done great. I think, Stillwater, they have great, but I didn't grow up in like a little town or thing, so all my friends outside, they're like, so for sure it's better here than a lot of places.
It makes me think of my friend's story of like, he wants to start his snowblower, but it's too early in the morning. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, so he's just waiting outside, and then all of a sudden down the way, he hears one start. He's like, okay, there's the sign. I can start my snowblower now.
That's awesome.
Do you have any good winter stories for Rochester when you got stuck on your way to work? Or
I had a couple close calls, but I was able to get myself out. But okay, I got two kind of funny stories. Not super funny, but okay. The first one, when I was in college, I was nannying, and there was this one random day where my girls needed a ride out in the middle of nowhere to a horse barn. And I was like, oh man, and it was at night. So I take them out, and the country roads are just terrible. Okay, speaking of snow removal, there we go, good example. So their driveway, just terrible. I ended up it was so long, and so I ended up veering off all of a sudden. I was like, this has never happened to me. And I was totally stuck, and nobody could get me out. And then I had to call the tow, and I'm a college student, and $200. And I'm like, but then my nanny family ended up paying that for me because they felt bad. And I was like, oh, praise Jesus. Oh my gosh. What a stressor. But I was so traumatized by that time. This could happen. I'm never going out there again. So yeah, that was my one horrible moment, but it was okay. Then, okay, it was, I believe last year, in January, I went out to Colorado for one of the trainings for this Faulkner. My roommate came with me, so we ended up leaving during the start of the horrible storm we had last year. And once you got out of Iowa, it was beautiful, gorgeous, fabulous week. And then we came back, and driving down our road, we saw there was just so much snow. I was like, there's no way we're gonna get in our driveway. And I was like, no. But then our sweet neighbor plowed us out. Nice. And I was like, wow, what a guy. Plow. If you guys can plow your neighbor's driveway, do it, because it'll make their day, especially when they're gone and they're dreading coming home.
So you got to experience, what was it, about 2 years ago? We had that really bad storm here.
I lose track now. The one that stands in my mind is the May 2nd storm. It happened May 2nd, and we just got pounded. But it felt like last year, but it's now been 4 or 5 years. So that's
it's been pretty recent. I think because last year it wasn't too bad. It might have been the year before. I've only been here for 3 years, and I just remember one of those winters being super bad. I got stuck at work for 16 hours. So, because no one could come into work, so you're stuck, you know.
Right.
But Minnesota's really just great for that whole Minnesota nice. I remember getting stuck with my friend. She ended up living with me for 5 days because she couldn't get home. She lived in Mazeppa, and we really wanted snacks, so we went to we walked to a holiday station, and we helped pull out 5 cars on our way.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it's just that really, really nice, that Minnesota nice, you know, Jester, you know, you're walking, but you got the snow blowing at you, and then, but just helping people on the way. So
I have a crappy old truck that I just can't afford to get rid of because I put so much money into it, but it has a plow on it, and it's just like the most fun feeling when you get that first snowfall and you're driving around, you're in your plow truck, you're like, I can do anything, no one's out here. And then about the 5th snowfall, you're like, why the heck do I still own this truck? This is so stupid.
but then you'll get rid of the truck, and then winter will come, and
I know.
you'll wish you have the truck.
I know, that's how it goes. That's why it still sits there. I can't afford to get rid of it.
It's worth it. Most of our life is winter, so.
Yeah, it is.
So what can you suggest to your friends who are outside of Rochester? What can you get them, how can you get them to come to Rochester?
Like to visit me or to move here?
Ooh. Let's get them to visit you first.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. Well, every now and again I can get some people to visit me, especially my good cousin up in the cities. Well, I try to like invite them to, like, our church has like huge like young adult population, and they're always doing things. So it's really fun to like pull people and be like, hey, come to this event. I love that because a lot of different places, people like in their 20s, like when you're out of college, it's really hard to find like a community or people to hang with that are, I don't know, outside of your normal, you know, work or different things. But yeah, I'm like, hey, let's go hiking. Let's go, I don't know, like different places that aren't in the cities.
What's some of the things that they do as far as the church getting together? What's an event that they would pull off?
Once a month, we have an event called The Experience. It's like a young adult service thing. So there's like a speaker. They do like worship, and then after that, everyone's encouraged to mingle, and which is really cool because people actually mingle and they talk and they're like making their way around, and it's really encouraging. Mm-hmm. It's not cliquey, which is cool.
Have you, with COVID going on, I'm sure a lot of, you know, events and stuff like that have been probably postponed or, you know, pushed off. But have you found yourself during this whole COVID, have you found something interesting new that you've done, you know, whether it's for yourself or, you know, just even learning something about yourself that you've never done before?
That's a good question.
Like here in Rochester, specifically.
I can't say anything super new or different. So, okay, something that pops in my mind. So, like, during the whole COVID thing. So, I'm also involved in the youth ministry. Mm-hmm. So, we're like, okay, what do we do during this time? We got all these teenagers stuck at home going crazy. Like, what can we do to, like, help them, entertain them, like, connect with them? So, we ended up doing these series of Instagram videos, like, weekly. And I was doing these... So we were supposed to do like Fitness Fridays, and at first I was like, okay, I'll like give them, you know, a little exercise routine, and because the other guy who was like sharing the Fridays with me, he was like, you know, serious and stuff, and like giving them some good stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But then the next time I was like, okay, they need something fun. So when I was younger, me and my brother and my neighbors, we make all these videos and things. So I was like, I'm going to bring some of that back, like some of that fun. And so then I had my roommate join me, and we made these like hilarious fitness video parody things. Like they were like legit, like you could do them if you really wanted to, but like we had our own flair. So, and I didn't tell the youth pastor I was going to do that at first. I'm like, he's either going to fire me from this or we're going to love it. And you know what? It's fine because I'm a volunteer. And the kids are going to love it. So that was something like kind of fun and different that I wouldn't usually do. Yeah.
I feel the same way about TikToks. So there was that period of time when like everything was shut down, and I would, even the why. So then I would just go walk in the parking ramps. I found myself making more TikToks than I've ever done before. Like my favorite one was, it was like a siren. And so when you stepped outside of a door, the siren went off and it was like the police telling you need to go back inside. You can't be outside. So I come walking out of the parking ramp and all of a sudden the siren goes and I look around and book it back inside. That's my TikTok. So I feel the videos.
TikTok I love TikTok. It's addicting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're going to say addicting.
It's
yes.
addicting.
Yep.
It's very addicting. Find myself on TikTok late at night just scrolling through, and then next thing you know, 4 hours have gone by.
Mm-hmm. And how's your mask? Do you have plenty of masks? And what's your style of mask that you like to wear?
Ooh, so our patients actually made us quite a bit of different ones. So I had these like really colorful ones at first. And at first I was like, oh, I don't usually like to be like all boom, here I am kind of thing. But I'm like, you know what? It's this kind of time. Anything goes, right? So everybody would be like, giving me some looks. I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. I'm owning this. But then our church actually got these like, they're kind of like more sporty and it's black. And it just says like belong, believe, come, because that's what Rochester Assembly's thing is. But it's nothing that's like too out there, but it kind of is like sleek and it's easy to breathe through and I love it. And I usually forget it in my pants pocket and then I get mad at myself, but I always have like a bunch of different ones just in case.
I really like this one. So it has the 2 strings that you can just keep around your neck. So that way I don't take it off and throw it in my pocket. And then next thing you know, I'm like getting to a place, digging in my pocket. I'm like, where is that thing?
That's smart. And I've seen a lot of people with, the running ones that like you wear in the winter. I'm like, that's smart because those people are going to use them, for that too.
So serious question. Does a scarf make up for a mask if it's all the way around your neck and around your face?
I think as long as your nose and mouth are covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of that in the beginning, especially before there was mask mandates. A lot of patients would come in with scarves, and we're like, okay. I've seen it, and people are in stores with it. I mean, if it's
with
covered,
the scarf?
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking about like those hunting,
just a scarf, just like a like a scarf you'd wear in the winter because you're trying to stay warm, but then you wrap it extra around your.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, obviously, when you get maybe into a building, you're gonna want to take your scarf off, so then you put on a different mask.
That could be.
But I think, unless if it's part of your outfit, I don't know.
Right.
How that would look.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's functional in the winter.
I know, a lot of hunters, they're kind of those, they're thin, but they're almost like those, I don't know. They kind of go up all the way. Yeah. And I think a lot of hunters and, maybe fishermen who go out, on these colder weathers, that will wear them just to cover their face, just to keep them warm. I see a lot of people wearing that because, especially guys, you'll see them in restaurants and they'll just pull them down.
So easy.
I don't know what those are called.
Who would have thought we were wearing masks, a year ago? None of us would have guessed. I would have been walking around in a mask and been like, what's wrong with that guy? Why is he wearing a mask walking around?
Now you see someone without a mask and you're like, hey.
Where's your mask?
Where's your mask?
It is a different time, isn't it?
Yes.
Were you shut down at Brennan?
We actually were not. I was super blessed to be able to keep caring for people.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good. Mm-hmm. It's also one of those important things. I think people needed that too.
Well, I think I was talking with my mother last night and just the whole education system and how they're teaching now, and it's completely different of kids enter. I asked her, I said, do kids want to go to school? And she's like, yeah, they want to go see their friends and do stuff. They don't necessarily want to stay at home. So you got to find ways to get to people, and
it's got to be tough. You're taken from your friends almost all summer and all school year. And now a lot of them probably can't even see their friends because I know high schoolers are doing kind of that block scheduling, kind of like a college schedule.
Oh, yeah.
So they're maybe at school every other day and then the rest is all remote. It's kind of that college feel, but I don't know.
Some people love it. Some people don't.
I think when you're a kid and you're in high school, middle school, elementary, you want to be with your friends. They're not ready for that college field.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't have as much freedom either, as far as being a young kid. What are you going to do? Drive and go do something?
Right. Yeah.
I'm stuck at home all day, every day. And it's not fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining the People of Rochester podcast. What episode are we on?
We're episode 8.
Whoa.
How is this your first podcast ever?
It is. I kind of made my own little practice one years ago, but never done like a real live one. So this was a blast.
What'd you think?
I
Would you do it again?
Oh, for sure. Like, you guys are fun.
Yes.
Well, if you ever have your friends come in town, we'd love to hear their experience of Rochester and what they think. And
Yeah.
do you have friends who've never been to Rochester?
Yes, I do so far.
You should get them here.
Perfect.
Love to hear their opinion because I think
Yeah.
like I brought my friend in once, and I think just thinking outsiders' view is so interesting because they're so different.
I love how you made the day too. You're like, okay, so we're going here, 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 and then we're ending it with a podcast. It'd be
Yeah,
like,
see,
what kind of friend are you? Like, what are you talking about? Podcast.
See, maybe like warn your friend, like, hey, we're gonna go to do a podcast later. I didn't tell my friend.
Oh, you didn't tell her?
I didn't tell her. I said I got a surprise for you,
That's great.
and it was like 2 hours before, and I'm like, we're gonna do a podcast.
That's awesome. That would be fun to surprise some people like that.
Oh yeah.
Do you know she listened to it afterwards?
She did. I sent it to her.
Did she like it?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, right.
She's never allowed back if she doesn't.
She doesn't want to come back now. She's like, I ain't going to Rochester. I do a podcast. That was intimidating.
She'll come back for newts.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah.
That is.
She won't tell you either.
Yeah.
She'll be like, it'll be like an Instagram post. If I'm at Newt's, you'll call her. Be like, you were in Rochester? Not anymore. No.
Well, we really enjoyed having you today. It was really nice, and we hope to have you back on, and hopefully bring a guest this time, like just to see what they think about Rochester. Yeah.
If people want to learn more about Brennan Chiropractic, how can they find you? Where do they go?
BrennanHealth.com. We also have Facebook and Instagram, so like and follow us. Always have lots of educational videos. We'll share our specials there. We just want people to be educated too, so there's a lot of simple, fun facts that you can learn. So,
Oh, I'm going to go give it a follow.
Yeah, me too. Find them on Facebook and Instagram and check it out. Sounds
sweet.
really nice. I think we all need to go there after this
After this podcast.
podcast. Let's go.
Probably.
No, just after all this COVID. I think a lot of people
Oh,
are
yeah.
stressed and
Oh yeah.
I'm so thankful that the Y's opened up again.
yeah.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah.
People need to move. That's
Yeah.
another thing. It's huge.
Thank you for joining, and what a way to start off the week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy
Thanks for
Monday.
having me.
You bet.